Welcome back to the Hot Diggity Dog Read to Your Dog at Home series. And we're getting pretty close to some pretty exciting chapters in the Adventures of Humboldt. Now, let's see what's happening. Chapter 27. There was a rattle at the front window. Probably the wind, thought Mrs. Gimmidge. Winter was upon them, and the wind could blow hard. She started up the stairs and made herself a mental note to get the windows seen to tomorrow. Halfway up, she remembered the lemon pudding was still out on the counter. She returned to the kitchen. There was that rattle again. It wouldn't stop. She walked over to investigate. A little bird sat on the windowsill. It must have flown into the glass. Mrs. Gimmidge opened the window, and a gust blew in, carrying a little brown song sparrow holding something in its mouth. It flew, then skidded onto the middle of the table, and a bundle of pages fell out of its beak. It seemed tired but happy. It hopped about and cocked its head to the side, its bright brown eyes fixed on Mrs. Gimmidge. This was no ordinary bird, evidently. Mrs. Gimmidge picked up the pages. Lima bean labels? She turned them over. Humboldt's handwriting? It couldn't be, but it was. The note on the papers recounted the most remarkable story. Mrs. Gimmidge gawked at the bird. You must know where Humboldt is. She patted the sparrow on her tufted head. I'm Mrs. Gimmidge, she blurted. Make yourself at home. She pointed to a package of saltines. Excuse me, but have some extremely important phone calls to make. Mrs. Gimmidge set about to ring Itzhak and the Scotland Yard inspectors. Plouffe landed on the packet of saltine crackers and proceeded to nibble at one. Soon Inspector Hodge, Inspector Podge, Itzhak, and Radinsky were all gathered at Mrs. Gimmidge's house. It must be done tomorrow, Mrs. Gimmidge exclaimed. We must get there before 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Absolutely no shilly-shallying. We'll intercept the coal man. I'll be on the walkie-talkie, said Inspector Podge. He wasn't terribly brave and didn't care if people knew that, but he was a whiz at operating equipment. This calls for a Guinness-ski, Itzhak chimed in, reaching for a bottle of Guinness stout. We have to plan this very, very carefully. There must be no foul-ups, added Inspector Hodge in his deliberate way. Are you scared of witches? Mrs. Gimmidge asked. Just a little, Inspector Hodge admitted quietly. How about you? Terrified, she said, but I'd do anything for our Humboldt. Well, we'll be off to Scotland Yard then and organize the transport. Mrs. Gimmidge and Itzhak waved goodbye to the inspectors and went back into the house to finish their Guinness. Chapter 28. Light splintered the darkness in Humboldt's room. He awoke quivering with excitement. Ever since Plouffe's departure with her precious parcel, Humboldt could think of nothing else but the plan etched on the lima bean labels. He hoped with all his might that Mrs. Gimmidge and her gang would understand the rescue plan and succeed. He tried his door, locked as usual. He paced the room. Somehow he had to get the Babayaga to unlock the door. He tried the doorknob again. Then an idea came to him. He knocked 3 times from the inside. He could hear her gargling her vinegar sardine mouthwash in the kitchen. Finally, she clomped along the hallway to his room. He looked through the peephole. Her hair was a spiky mess, like a heap of musty mown grass. She was flushed and breathing heavily. Her eyes were ringed with dark green circles. It had been a long night of dancing. Yes, little Humboldt, I'm still here. I haven't gone anywhere. I have another riddle for you, even better than the last one. Really? But you have to open the door so you can hear it properly. Well, as long as you're not too conspicuous. She unhooked her large batch of keys from her snakeskin satchel, undid the lock, and turned the handle. "Good morning," Humboldt smiled with a chocolate toady-filled smile. He worked the buckle from his suspenders. "I've missed you terribly." "So, tell me the riddle." "Okay, ready?" Humboldt angled close to the door. "It's better if you close your eyes. Riddles have more power in the dark." "Come on, little Humboldt. I will close the eyes for 9 seconds. A second for each year of your troll life." While her eyes were shut, Humboldt asked, "What is a cat's favorite song?" As he spoke, he wedged the buckle in the doorframe. The Babayaga opened her eyes. "Song? My cats don't sing." "Three blind mice." "Oh, the one about the carving knife. Yes, that's funny. Or is it? Now, I have things to do in the kitchen. The coal man is coming this afternoon, and I must scrub the vat." "The vat?" Humboldt asked, alarmed. "I have many culinary pursuits. I'm expecting a guest for dinner." Her eyes, like gray bullets, scanned his furry body from head to toe. "A house guest, possibly, but I don't think he'll be staying too long." Humboldt decided not to ask any more questions. The Baba Yaga handed Humboldt his gray breakfast and closed the door. As soon as she was out of earshot, Humboldt tested the door. It opened easily. "Brilliant." Humboldt smiled his best runny lemon pudding smile. That's the end of chapter 27 or 28. Next day, chapter 29. So thanks for listening, and we'll see you again soon. Hop on board.